The race for Gordon House is far from over. The Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, says it's still counting the ballots cast in last Thursday's general election. As at 8:30 a.m. on Monday, the JLP was ahead with 32 seats to the PNP's 31. The two political parties' fate now rests in the constituency of Western St. Thomas. The EOJ provided an update on Monday at a press conference. We have more from Tanika Thomas.
Interesting times on Jamaica's political landscape. The 2016 general election will go down in history because of its unprecedented close results. After the preliminary count following the close of polls on February 25, Jamaicans were informed that the opposition Jamaica Labour Party, led by Andrew Holness, had unseated the ruling People's National Party, PNP, 33 seats to 30. But things would eventually change on Saturday after the PNP's Dr. Winston Green was declared the winner of the St. Mary Southeastern constituency instead of the JLP's Dr. Norman Dunn, who was announced the victor on election night, leaving the JLP with 32 seats to the PNP's 31. At a press conference on Monday, Director of Elections Oret Fisher explained that the Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, had still not completed its official count of ballots in the 2016 general election. Mr. Fisher says ballots are still being counted for the constituency of West St. Thomas, where the incumbent, the JLP's James Robertson, went up against the PNP's Marsha Francis.
The result of the final count from the 62 constituencies where the process has been completed shows a total of 32 constituencies confirmed for the Jamaica Labour Party and 31 constituencies confirmed for the People's National Party. For the purpose of clarification and to provide further information on the process, the Electoral Office wishes to further advise the public on the following. The law provides for the conduct of a final count to commence in each constituency the day after the poll has been taken. And it must be noted that each count takes place in the individual constituency, and therefore there will be no need to seek to prioritize. They are all priority and would have to be completed. The results that are given on the night of the election are preliminary results only, obtained from the presiding officers who would have counted the ballots in the presence of the agents of the candidates.
Mr. Fisher is hoping to present the official results of the 2016 general election to Governor General Sir Patrick Allen by Wednesday. However, he notes that this could be delayed if any candidate challenges the results in the courts. Already, the JLP has indicated that they will be seeking a magisterial recount in the St. Mary's Southeastern constituency.
If there is no request for a magisterial recount, the results are sent to the Director of Elections, who is then able to ascertain the party with the majority of seats and to so advise the Governor General. The Director is also required to provide a list of the duly elected representatives to the Clerk of the House of Representatives. With the final constituency expected to be completed later today, the Electoral Office is hoping to be able to advise the Governor General of the results by Wednesday, March 2, 2016. It must be noted, however, that if there is a magisterial recount for any constituency, the final results can only be declared at the completion of the magisterial recount. And that is something that the Electoral Office has no control over.
Meanwhile, a chairman of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, Dorothy Pine McClarty, addressed concerns relating to the integrity of the just concluded election.
On election night, what is called a preliminary count takes place so that the nation can be given as early as possible that night an idea of how the results are expected to pan out. In furtherance of our democratic process, there is a recount, otherwise called the final count, which goes through the ballots in great detail in the presence of representatives of all parties. I can assure you that the integrity of the system is intact.
And Mr. Fisher is also standing by the election process. He says the system performed creditably and election day workers carried out their jobs responsibly.
The system performed creditably. I am yet to receive all the reports that you would have heard coming from civil society, from the international observers, the independent observers. They all gave very high marks to the way the system performed. And I would want on record to say that the election day workers, the people who decided to make themselves available, did extremely well, and I am satisfied with the way they performed, and I want to publicly thank them for the job and for the effort that they made, and for the result, the election that they delivered to the country, which I think is a credible election. I would also like to thank the staff of the Electoral Office itself, which numbers under 500, who worked continuously. They worked day and night whenever required in order for us to be prepared for this election. So in terms of the workers and the election itself, I think given the time frame within which we had to operate, we exceeded ourselves.
Tanika Thomas reporting for CEEN Caribbean News.
And the official recount of the Western St. Thomas seat was relocated to the EOJ's headquarters in Duke Street, downtown Kingston on Sunday. According to the Electoral Office of Jamaica, the process was relocated based on precautionary measures. The Western St. Thomas seat could actually be the decider of the general election. It's being contested by the incumbent, the JLP's James Robertson, and the PNP's Marsha Francis. Director of Elections, Orette Fisher, gave an update on the counting exercise.
At 8:30 a.m. today, February 29, 2016, the Electoral Office of Jamaica has concluded the final count in 62 of the 63 constituencies. The final count for the constituency of St. Thomas Western is being continued at our Duke Street office. The decision having been taken to relocate the count outside of the parish. For the constituency of St. Thomas Western, the total of 156 boxes, there are 156 boxes to be counted. And as of this morning, we have completed 55.
Mr. Fisher also addressed questions concerning the length of time it's taking the EOJ to recount the ballots.
The counting is proceeding with all reasonable haste at this point in time. And the speed of the count is dependent on a number of things. So people will wonder, why is it that the count is completed earlier in some constituencies than in others? Naturally, the individual's ability to count. The returning officers are of different ages and agility. Therefore, the returning officer's natural ability would play a role. The size of the constituency is also important. You have constituencies with well over 100 stations. You have those with well under 100. The number of votes to be counted would also play a role. The turnout in some constituencies is much higher than it is in others. The closeness of the results is also very, very critical, because when the results are close, the agents, and in many cases the lawyers who represent the party, they want to scrutinize every single ballot, and they haggle over anything that they think might not be correct in their opinion. And as a result, the count moves a lot slower. And therefore, the political representatives themselves are responsible for the speed at which the count is conducted in many occasions.
Mr. Fisher also brushed aside allegations that some ballot boxes were tampered with while others went missing.
I've heard a lot of rumor about missing ballot boxes. Now, to address this rumor about boxes being tampered with and thrown away and missing, on the night of election, the Electoral Office and every returning officer must account for every single ballot box and the material used in each polling station. The report that you get, that the public gets, is given on a box-by-box basis. And so any box that is missing would be known on the night of the poll. Boxes are couriered by supervisors, accompanied by party agents. And so the parties would also be aware of any missing box. This is not something that could be hidden. The returning officer must have in his or her possession, under lock and key and guarded by the security forces, every box that was issued prior to commencement of the final count.
And with both outgoing Prime Minister and PNP President Portia Simpson-Miller and Prime Minister-designate Andrew Holness urging supporters to stay calm, Jamaicans are waiting with bated breath as the country awaits the results of the recount in the constituency of St. Thomas Western. The seat, which entered last Thursday's general elections as a marginal, was contested by Marsha Francis, representing the People's National Party, and incumbent Member of Parliament for the constituency, James Robertson of the Jamaica Labour Party. Robertson was declared the victor for the seat with 9,509 votes, which is 381 votes more than the 9,209 gained by Francis. The recount, which was announced on Sunday, was still ongoing at 5 p.m. Monday afternoon. Representative of the People's National Party, Philip Paulwell, says the party will accept any result.
We're just waiting. There's no particular mood. We anticipate any result that comes. We just do not know. We're not expecting positively nor negatively. We're just waiting on the final result.
Meanwhile, Deputy General Secretary of the Jamaica Labour Party, Dr. Andrew Wheatley, is confident this seat will remain with the JLP.
So we do not anticipate more changes. What we're getting so far is that we're picking up additional votes, but the final outcome should not change. Based on what we know, will not change. And so Mr. James Robertson will be declared the new Member of Parliament for Western St. Thomas.
The Electoral Office of Jamaica has announced that, pending no changes, Governor General Sir Patrick Allen will receive the elections results by Wednesday, March 2. Dr. Wheatley says the JLP will be ready to get on with business as soon as possible.
As soon as the final certificates are issued, the party will go ahead as it relates to the swearing of the Prime Minister, and also the Parliament and the members of Parliament will be sworn in also in short order.
In other news from Jamaica, Member of Parliament for Southern St. Andrew and Minister of Transport and Works during the last People's National Party PNP administration, Dr. Omar Davies, has been hospitalized. It's understood that Dr. Davies was rushed to the University Hospital after collapsing this morning at his home. A release from the Ministry of Transport says Dr. Davies was scheduled to meet with staff at the ministry this morning at 9 a.m. However, that meeting had to be chaired instead by State Minister Richard Azan and Dr. Maurice Guy following the minister's health scare. It is the second time in months that Dr. Davies has had to seek emergency medical attention. The last time he had to take a leave of absence.